Dear Elijah and Elena, make sure you remember, or try to hold to, that the older you get, friends and friendships do change. Uh, Earlier, about weeks ago or something like that, as always, I was on my fingers, or using my fingers, going through different social media apps, and I happened upon another post by a person on Facebook, and it was a young sister who's basically saying that she always says that she doesn't have any real life friends, because a lot of people that she said that would say that they are cool with her, they never seem to show any support. And especially with young ladies, I've learned as I've gotten older. I remember, I think my father told me when I was younger. Maybe I think my mother, both my mother and my second mother, have either said something about it, or basically kind of showed me how important a friendship is, to sisters especially, and meaning women. It's important to men too, but at the same time, I think, well, I can't speak for all men, but it just doesn't phase us, I think, as much. And that could be in different times. Now, I've known some brothers, including myself, that, going through some depressing moments in life, we really did need, a really good male friend. The stresses of maybe possibly marriage or finances or jobs or whatever, right? But many times the older I've gotten, I've kind of learned to, I've had really good friends and I've had to let them go because of being married, having children. I don't hang out at night, so whenever I would get off work, I just took my butt home, to keep out of trouble, if you will. And so it doesn't really phase men as much as far as I've seen. Now, like I said before, that this doesn't say to every man or every woman, but just in many cases. And so, because I think as a male, I had friends that when I came out of college, and got married, that they kind of dropped off like flies, and I really didn't contact them either. So it's not to say that they're all bad or anything like that, but it's a part of life. You have friends for certain, what I call eras of your life, ERA, era. During college, I had certain buddies that we might be Facebook friends, but we're not. That friendship is not like it was then, where I could call them and say, hey, what's going on, or what are you doing, and things of that nature. Same thing for them and for me. You move to another area, it's very difficult to maintain those friendships. I think I've had pretty much the same best friend since I was a child, and coming out of Maryland as a 12, 13-year old. He's a doctor in Maryland now. We don't even talk that much, but I still consider him my best friend, and still like a brother to me, because I know if I really needed him or really needed something, which is rare, but if I really needed something, I could call him up. He was there at my wedding, and he's just been a really good friend. Our conversations when we pick up, it was just like we just stopped talking yesterday or something like that. We just stopped talking and we saw each other yesterday, and we just picked right back up. But anyway, I digress. The whole point being is that, especially for young sisters out there, that it's so important that you all remember to really try to be real friends to each other, especially if you feel like the person hasn't been fake, or hasn't done you wrong, or things like that. And if you all do have a distance between each other, to really make sure that you still, and don't just text message. I think that's the reason why she probably made that post, even if she doesn't say it or doesn't think it, because a lot of people don't know how to support each other anymore, because we live in this world of social media. Like, if you post everything on Facebook, then somebody's going to respond, and they think that they know what you're going through, and then that's enough of a message to send a text message or a Facebook post or a response or whichever. And that's just not enough. In this day and age, a lot of folks are going through stuff with the pandemic, whether it's lost a job or just the stress and frustration not being able to hang around other friends and family members due to social distancing and things of that nature. You really need to build up and have those friendships, and have people there to be supportive. Call somebody. That's why I try to tell, like my best friend, we can't talk to each other all the time, and either of my family members, like my mother. I'm not the best phone call person myself, but I'm not going to just text my mother all the time or text my father all the time. At some point, I need to call and say, hey, how are you doing? Here's a voice, with my love and my support, not just, words in a text message. But at the same time, realizing too that the older we get, friendships do change, especially if you move to another place, move to another job or what have you. And also I would say to people, don't just put yourself in a box. Don't just expect every friend to be just like you, or every friend to have the same kind of personality or what have you. I know one person I know in particular, who I won't name here, only seem to like friends who are quite like a lot like them. They're not as talkative, maybe, or they're not as happy-go-lucky, because this person's not a happy-go-lucky, upbeat person all the time, so they don't, quote-unquote, like to be around people like that. And sometimes you'll be surprised the friendships you get to have and really build by engaging in having friendships and being willing to have a friendship with people and persons who are not like you. I think that's been the danger to a lot of people. I think in general, with mental health, emotional health, spiritual health, what have you, is that they think they have to have a friend or friends or multiple friends or whatever that have their same skin color, that have the same faith as them, that or don't have the same faith as them, that come from the same social class or financial class or what have you. Right? So that person over there looks like a suburban mom. I probably could connect with her because I'm a suburban mom. We both have mom vans and what have you. And that's just not the case. It's not all, you never know who you can have friends with. Last quick thing is this is over 5 minutes already. I remember once when I was at a church, a while back with my wife, and I was sitting in the fellowship hall, and it was a predominantly Caucasian church, and it's not saying anything about blasting Caucasian people. It's just a point. Or an anecdote. And I was sitting at I came in, or I was looking around or whatever it was, and I saw a couple who were not typically, they were not of the same fiscal background, right? So they didn't make the same money. They all were not suburban people. And so the woman was a poor Caucasian lady, and her husband was a Hispanic brother. And not to make it a race thing, we're in a predominantly Caucasian church, I thought it was very interesting that, I looked at another table with all of these, sisters who, were predominantly Caucasian. And my wife, being African American, had also said that she felt like she couldn't join in on that group, right? And I noticed this couple was sitting here by themselves, and everybody else was over at the other table. And I just kind of thought, like, now that's interesting. Now, here's, again, I don't think that was a racial thing, because they interacted with those. I've seen all of those same ladies interact with that same couple, and it seemed to be in a loving manner. But my point being was it could have been a cultural thing, is that sometimes people, because a person or persons coming from a different culture, they don't, it's not even necessarily about looking like them, but they might talk differently. They might drive a certain car or whatever, and they forget, like, oh, I can reach out to that person and be a friend and see what's going on in their life or whatever. You never know who you'll connect with. And so that's my thing, is that not to say that this particular person was talking about that people she was cool with were not really supporting her, is going through that. But sometimes it could be that if those people are like that, then sometimes you go, whenever you're going, see if you can be a friend to somebody else and be surprised who you might end up being a friend with, or having a friend with. You might surprise yourself. But friends and friendships do change over life, or they can anyway. Just thoughts.